Saving money is really about dozens of small choices that you make every single week that add up to saving major amounts of money. Let's take an inside look at a week in the life of a frugal family. 35 choices we made this week that saved us money.
You know, making big fixes rarely ever works when it comes to saving money. It's actually a lot of small little minuscule moves that add up to a large amount of savings.
As we mentioned, we're going to share with you 35 frugal choices we made this week that saved us money. But we want you to stick with us because then we are going to share 4 non-frugal choices that we made this week. And we're going to tell you whether we actually regret them or not. Let's get started. First frugal thing that we did this week.
By the way, before we get into our subject matter, if you don't know us and you're new to the channel, I'm Larry.
And I'm Hope.
And we're from Under the Median, where every week we talk about frugal living.
All right, now the first thing we did that saved us money was we went to the library and we borrowed books. Thank you to Prepper Princess. She mentioned this book. It was kind of just a comment in passing. She mentioned it on one of her videos last week. I'm like, ooh, that sounds interesting. It's called The Moneyless Man, a year of freakonomic living. It's Mark Boyle, by the way, is the author, just in case you want to know. Tell us in the comment section, have any of you read this book? So basically, the guy decided he was going to live for 1 year spending absolutely no money. First of all, I'm fascinated to find out how he did that. And secondly, I'm really sort of looking forward to maybe picking up some new ideas that I actually haven't thought through before. So let me know. You guys read the book.
That's the ultimate money-saving plan,
so.
is to not spend anything. I don't think I could do that. I just don't think I enjoy buying things, and I don't think I could do that for a whole year. But
could you go a year without spending money? Tell us that in the comments section. Do you think? How long have you gone without actually spending money? It's an interesting idea, seriously.
And if it means writing a book and making a lot of money on that, I guess we're good. We can do it. We can do anything if you set your mind to it, right?
All right, second thing we did that saved us money.
Second thing that we did to save money is we borrowed movies from the library. Maybe there's some Doctor Who fans out there. I remember when our local public television station used to put the old shows on the air. I've been riding either my electric bike or my 10-speed to work for the last 2 weeks. I have not, my car has been sitting in the garage all that time. And not only do I ride the electric bike to work, I solar charge it using our Opus power station that I've been charging out in the backyard with the sun. So it's not costing any money.
Couple of months ago when we actually got the electric bike, we promised we would tell you like what impact that like in real life had on our gas bills. Our gas bills had been running pretty close between $90 and $100 a month. By riding his bicycle consistently, the electric bike or the 10-speed back and forth to work, we cut $50 a month off of our gas bill. That's right, we cut it in half.
Another thing we do to save gas is that we use Gas Buddy to find the cheapest gas stations in town to buy from.
Now, if you want to know 48 more ways that you can kind of take the pain out of the pump and filling up your car with gasoline, we did a video on it. I'll make sure it's linked up above and in the description of the video.
We combined all of our trips in order to save as much gas as possible.
We dehydrated zucchini. A friend gave us a lot of zucchini. I sliced it, put it in the dehydrator, and here it is.
We dried our laundry using the Opus 1800 watt power station. Normally, we would like to line dry things, but at this particular moment in time, it was raining. So we used that. And then I also got that out in the backyard afterwards and recharged it with the solar panels.
So really, it cost us nothing to dry that laundry because we were using solar power to charge the Opus and then the Opus in order to run the dryer to dry the laundry. This next tip is one of our new favorite things to do. We really have been enjoying this.
So at night, while we're sitting and reading or whatever we're doing, relaxing, I've been using these USB powered light bulbs to read by. And all I have to do is hook it up to a power bank, hang this pretty close to us. That puts out 5 watts. It's pretty bright, and it's certainly enough light that we can use in the evenings, save a little money on our electricity.
We have a pair of these lights. We've been using them consistently to light our family room up at night. The next 4 tips actually have to do with food. First of all, I created a perishable food inventory toward the end of the week on Thursday or Friday. I always inventory everything that is perishable, and then I create a menu plan to use up that food. We had 2 clean out the fridge meal nights this week. We had a lot of leftover food in the refrigerator, so to make sure it didn't go bad, we had meals that were just designated as clean out the fridge night. And then I also used all of my scraps that I had in the freezer and made some homemade veggie broth.
We raised our thermostat 3 degrees for our air conditioning. We had it set at 76 degrees, and we raised it to 79, and we'll get into more detail as to why we did that.
More cooking choices we made. We made the choice not to use our electric stove all week long. We've noticed in our energy usage, the minute we turn that electric stove on, boy, it just skyrockets that electric usage. So we've tried to be really creative. Tell us in the comments section, especially during the summer months, are you getting super creative in which kitchen appliances you choose to use that aren't going to use a lot of energy and aren't going to heat up your house? For us, that's definitely the next tip. We tried to make as many meals as possible using our pressure cooker, Instant Pot, or using the crock pots. If you're wondering about the energy use of various appliances in your kitchen, I actually created a chart that shows, I think it's about 10 of the most common kitchen appliances and compares the electric usage of each of those appliances. You're interested in getting your own copy of that chart, you can have a copy of our kitchen electric usage charts and also all of our menu planning worksheets and charts. There's a link to get those in the description of the video.
Hope tracked our expenses.
Super important to do, and sometimes we just get behind or we forget to do it. But as we've mentioned before, it's amazingly difficult 4 or 5 days after you purchase some things to remember what in the world you even spent that money on. Best thing to do, stack all your receipts in one specific place at the end of the day and make sure that you're tracking them every single day. While you've got the receipts handy, the next thing you can do is enter all of your receipts into Fetch, which I also did this week. By the way, if you want Fetch and don't have it, there's a link in the description of this video that you can grab Fetch.
To save a little bit more money, we made sun tea out in the backyard. You take a gallon jar, a recycled pickle jar, and put some water in it, and what, about 5 tea bags or more than that?
More than that. Tell us how many tea bags you put in your gallon jar. I'd love to know. We put like 11 in a gallon
11.
jar. So I don't know. Maybe some of you are going to tell me I'm using too many big tea bags, just regular sized tea bags in my sun tea, but I don't think so.
We recently purchased a dehumidifier for the basement because we were noticing some extra humidity down here. So we found out that that uses quite a bit of power. When that's actually running, it's running at about 549 watts. Woohoo! So I turned up the settings on the dehumidifier so it's not dehumidifying down to 35%. We set it at 50 now.
These changes, as you've maybe noticed as we've gone through all of these choices we made, this is just 1 week worth of choices. And you'll notice a couple of things. None of these choices is going to save you buku bucks, all right? Remember, frugality is always about like a dozen changes every day that are going to save you a little bit of money, but over time they really do add up. The other thing you'll notice is that some of these changes definitely have to do with our electric bill, like raising the thermostat on the AC by 3 degrees and changing the humidifier setting so that it doesn't cycle on and off as often. Both of those were born out of the fact that we just recently received our most recent electric bill. And holy moly, any of the rest of you feeling our pain? Tell us in the comments section. My word, I have never, ever seen a number that high on one of our energy bills. So we got to work, and that is the next frugal choice that we made. We went to our online account for our energy provider. They allow us to see our usage not only on a daily basis, but also on an hourly basis. We can go down to quarter-hour increments if we really, really want to see our energy usage. So we're going to show you a chart. This chart shows in the brighter blue color, that is the usage for Saturday, the 23rd of July. And you will notice the average usage was about 2.3 kilowatts per hour on that chart. Right next to it in the much deeper, kind of like almost a brown color, that is the energy usage from just 5 days later. That energy usage, the overall average usage, you'll see that straight line there in that same darker color, substantially less than it was just 5 days earlier. And we just wanted to show you, this is the power of making just 2 changes. Literally, that's all we did. We raised the AC by 3 degrees, and we made it so that dehumidifier was cycling on and off far less often. Those are the 2 major changes that we made in those 5 days. They will allow us to see a projected bill, and I have looked at that projected bill, and it is down about $30 already for the month.
I want to add something in about the dehumidifier that I discovered about it. Not only did we turn it up in terms of how much it's pulling out of the air, I also was shutting it off for about 8 hours a day and giving it a rest. What I noticed was when I turned it back on and used it, it's accumulating water much faster. When I was running it 24/7, it was still running that refrigerator part that causes the 550 some odd watts usage. It wasn't pulling as much water out of the air. By shutting it off and letting that build up a little bit, then it's pulling it out faster. So it's actually more efficient to shut it off for about 8 hours a day, as well as turning it up to 50%.
We're going to get right back to the frugal choices we made this week, but we do want to encourage you that if you're finding this helpful, guys, you can really help us by giving this video a thumbs up. The next frugal choice we made this week that saved us money
is we paid our bills through electronic banking. We have an account set up where we can have our credit union actually pay the bills. That saves a stamp for each of those bills. And it saves our checks. So we're not writing checks out. They actually send an electronic check to the places that those are going to.
The next thing we did that actually is directly related to our banking is that we checked our online bank account. How does that save us money? Yes, granted, it just tells us how much money is actually in the account, but while we're on there, we checked a couple of other things. We checked to make sure that there weren't any purchases that were made that were purchases that we didn't make. Super important in this day and age to check your electronic bank accounts at least once a week, maybe even more than that. And the second thing we were able to do is look at the choices, the spending choices, yes, they're there in black and white, folks, that we had made this week, and really ask ourselves if we needed to spend that money. Always keeping tabs on where your money is at and where it went is really important in frugality and in saving money in the long term. We called our insurance company to get new rate quotes. We just got the bill for our yearly home and auto insurance, and it went up substantially. So we are shopping new rates.
We closed our curtains during the daytime to keep out unwanted heat. Now, in relation to that, one of the nights, the temperature dropped way down along with the humidity. So we shut the air conditioning off, opened up the windows upstairs, and let that air come in.
We ate plant-based meals. I know we do this every week, but we felt it worth mentioning because eating plant-based really does help us to lower our grocery bills.
We ate free bagels and other bread products that our son Dan brought home from his work. They get some dropped off and they allow him to take home one for each work shift. So we were treated there a couple times this week. And that is one of my favorite things about his job.
We had our kids over for taco night and family game night. How did this help us save money? Because tacos are incredibly inexpensive to feed to a crowd.
We went to a free antique car show, and of course, I enjoy a good antique car show. We saw some really cool cars, some of them from the 30s.
Now, related to the antique car show, one of the things we spent money on that was not frugal is related to that actual day trip. So make sure you stick with us, because after we're done telling you 35 ways we really saved money this week, remember, we're going to give you 4 ways that we're not frugal at all that we spent money this week, and tell you, did we regret doing those things?
We used our Opus power station to operate the coffee maker. In fact, I just ran it this morning off of that. We're using them more and more just to take some of the dent off of the electric bill. Hope noticed in the bill that it would spike in the morning when I turned that coffee maker on. So we're starting to use that more. And remember, you can use those for more than just emergencies. They can help you save on your electric bill if you're solar charging it and then running high draw items off of those to save that punch out of that electric bill.
We've mentioned multiple times on the channel how excited we are about the Opus portable power stations. And just in case you want to take a closer look, there'll be a link to any of the products, including the Opus that we mentioned. They'll be listed in the description of the video.
I took a lunch to work every day. You know, I just don't go out to eat when I'm working. So that does save a lot of money. Hope always has some leftover soup or something really delicious in the refrigerator. So I pack it up, put it in my bike bag, and wheel it off to work every day. Another thing that we did yesterday, we had to take a road trip, and to save a little bit of money on gas, since it was cooler yesterday, we left the air conditioning off, rolled down the windows, and I only drove the car 58 miles per hour. And that was in a 65 zone, and in a 70 mile per hour zone. It wasn't a real heavily traveled road, so we weren't really backing up any traffic by doing that. The car, which happens to be a Prius, ended up getting 58 miles per gallon for about a 360 mile total trip. So it was certainly worth taking those 2 measures to save some money on gas.
Next frugal choice we made air popped popcorn as a snack every day.
I sold 3 items that we no longer needed, and we made $160 on those.
The question in everybody's mind is, what are the 4 non-frugal choices that we made this week? Yes, we do sometimes make some choices that absolutely, by no stretch of the imagination, could they be considered frugal. We're going to tell you 4 choices we made this week and whether we absolutely regret making those choices. The first kind of non-frugal choice we made, I bought pre-shredded lettuce. Yes, I did, for our taco bar. Normally, I would never do that, but I was tired, y'all. I had a busy week, and I paid the $1.58 for the little, I don't think it was 8 ounces, but like 6 ounces of shredded lettuce that was from Aldi. The other thing I bought from Aldi for our taco night with the kids is we did buy some vegan cheese. Seldom do we buy any processed vegan products, but we did for the family game night, and I kind of don't regret it.
When we took the day trip to a local historical community called Bishop Hill, we bought some premium coffee, and these were $35 for these 2 coffees. But they're darn well worth it, and we only do that about once a year.
While we were at the antique car show, all of a sudden, everybody in the family was absolutely starving.
Ravenous.
So we got in the car and took a trip to Burger King to buy Impossible Burgers at Burger King. We fed the whole family. Yes, it was $50 at Burger King, and we had 0 coupons with us.
Hope and I bought some tickets to a community theater. We had a guest at our house last week, and we wanted to treat him. But that was $76 for all of us. Darn well worth it.
Now, we had planned on doing that. We absolutely don't regret the community theater. We planned that ahead of time. We knew there was money in the budget for that. But when we got to the community theater, they had these great premium popcorn bags that you could buy. We bought a bag of premium popped popcorn for everybody. It was $20 for popped popcorn. But you know what? Do we regret it?
No.
I don't think so,
No, it was
because
fun.
you gotta have popcorn while you're watching live theater outdoors underneath a tent in the middle of a park. It just had to be done. Overall, if you're keeping track, we spent somewhere north of $160 this week on unplanned expenses. Do we regret any of them? I think no, we don't. However, having said that, we knew that we hadn't used a lot of our fund money yet this year, so we knew it was really flush with cash, and we knew that we could sustain some damage, so to speak, in that area, and it still wasn't going to blow out our budget. But we do tell y'all all the time, don't make any unplanned purchases, and we wanted to prove to you that we are not perfect. Nearly all of these, with the exception of the theater tickets, which we thought through ahead of time, they were all unplanned purchases.
But you know what? We don't do that every week, so this is not something we do very often. So it was certainly fun. You got to have some fun, right?
Just a reminder for you, if you'd really like your own copy of that chart I showed you that showed energy usage on appliances in the kitchen, and you want to get your hands on our charts and our worksheets that we use for menu planning, you can have them. There's a link to that in the description of the video. Now, if you want to know over 100 ways that we are frugal and save money every single week, we did a series on it. That series of videos is linked right over there. You want to give it a watch next.